Yo, I'm
I'll
asking
beat him.
I'm asking them, baby. Oh. Yeah. There we go. That's the beauty of live. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever happens, happens. So here we go. Hey, what's up, everybody? This is LoveReigns, and I'm back for another live episode of the Random Thoughts of Rain podcast. And I am truly blessed to be joined by the one, the only Miss Duval County herself, Miss Jacksonville Save the Arts, Miss Y'all better pay these artists, Miss I'ma pave the way, Miss I'ma be in the front fighting for everybody in Duval, cause these my people, the one and only Miss Shawana Brooks.
Beautiful. You know what? That definitely is one of the best. I started looking around like, where they at? Who's that? Who's coming up here? That's exciting. That's exciting.
I almost threw some at you, man. Bitch, like in the building, right? That bitch was coming. Like, you know what I'm saying?
I got them home.
In the building, under the hood. Come on, man. Like,
Miss Color Jackson, bro.
Come on, man. Listen.
Come on, Blue Duval. You better turn Duval blue.
All of it.
I like it. All of that.
All that.
I'm sleeping good tonight. Sweet dreams to me. Sweet dreams.
Oh, man. So, for the very few people who may not know who you are.
Stop it.
Because they under a rock or something right now. Tell them who you are and tell them why you're dope and why you're all these things.
Oh man, that seems like an encourageable way to start a questioning, but I'm gonna do my best. One, just thank you so much. I'm so pleased to come on. I've been wanting to get here for a while. You've been so good to me, reaching out, making sure, hey, just want to talk to you when you can. I loved it. Because, I respect you so much and everything that you have done and that you continue to do, and also making, a way for poets and literary artists. And, I'm just a part, just so proud to be a part of that community with you. And, if you got to tell people why you're dope, maybe you're not as dope as you think you are. So, but I'll put on I'll put on my cap. My ego cap, because some people wear theirs all the time. I'm gonna put mine on now. I'm gonna put it on 5 times. I'm gonna cock it to the side. So just quick introduction. I've been a Jacksonville resident, a Duvalian, since I was a youngster. I was gonna say a younglet, but that's not a thing.
Listen, you're Shawana Brooks. You can make it a thing.
Since I was a younglet.
That's the new word. We had it to Peterson, so
there we go. Get it under the bridge for sure. Just been somebody who's been really affected by the communities here. I've lived in Arlington. I've lived in Riverside. I've lived over Murray Hill. I've lived, over Duff, Moncrief area. Now we like living in Nixon Town. So I've seen my fair share of how certain neighborhoods have, abundance of resources, how other neighborhoods have a little bit less so. And I just really kind of wanted to understand a little bit more of the why. A lot of times we all, I've had so many different times being with artists, those late night conversations, those after the poetry festival, getting together. We gonna do this. We finna get ready to put this together. We finna bring a something here. We gonna do a something there.
Right.
And we have to get back to the responsibilities of our day-to-day tasks. And too often we don't get to, put those dreams into action, because it's literally just having these beautiful ideas and then trying to in turn make them come true. So I think over time I just, didn't want that frustration of hearing so many artists feel like they didn't have a place or a really great esteem for them in this community, to figure out why is that. And I just started doing my due diligence of relationship building. I mean, it's not fair to say, but it's you can't keep talking to so-and-so if so-and-so ain't gonna do nothing.
Right.
So let's find out who were those players, those movers and shakers, right? That had a little bit more influence on how art gets promoted, how things get exhibited, how programs get put together. Luckily, I was taken in, so graciously by my peers and colleagues in that way, and just saw that unfortunately there was just so many gaps around marginalized or minority artists, and there wasn't a lot of advocates in the room fighting to make sure that those artists also had a space at the table. So just more and more, what I tried to do with the opportunities that I had been given was to bring those people to the table with me, to make people understand that art isn't just a thing. It's a lifestyle. It's a passion. It's a purpose. How do we utilize so much of that interactivity? And like you said before, get these artists paid. I don't believe in a starving artist narrative that only benefits the benefactors. I want to see the people who are the cultural producers, the people of that work, get the credit that they need. And also, I want us to do it with each other. I want us to be a collective and a stronghold. So, that's, I think, the kind of buzz of why I do what I do. And then what I do gets a little bit more cloudy and hazy. But I think it's all the process of my own artistry and what I do as a literary artist and a cultural producer.
Yeah, for sure. And you definitely have been like such an advocate for the arts community, man. Like it's so necessary. It's so necessary. And because a lot of times you don't have you have people who are the producers, and then you also have people who are the producers and the curators. You know what I mean? Because you can't have one without the other, right? We can produce art all day, but if it ain't being seen nowhere, if we're not being heard anywhere, you know what I mean? Who are those people that are going to bring that forth, right? So let's start from the beginning. Like, what is your earliest memory of your fascination with art and artistry and literary arts and all that?
So many sweet memories came to mind, but I'll tell one of my favorites. I've always been an avid reader since I could string the sentences together. Always enjoyed, the opportunity to get new books and learn more. And, again, the way that reading, really is like reading rainbow in my head, like butterfly. I'm not going to do it because I don't got the voice. But y'all got the
useless fact.
Right.
Me and LeVar Burton have the same birthday.
Oh, I love this.
Yeah.
Of course you do. You're miracle workers, both of you. I love it. I need to look to see who has my birthday. I've never really done that. October 13th. October 13th. Libra all day long.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I asked. No, but I asked that's Sinbad's birthday. I don't know that.
He's another giant as well. I like it. So I just like that I know all those celebrities going on my birthday.
That was just a dumb question.
But I guess back to one of my earliest memories of really understanding artistry was being enamored with the book Colored Purple, and Alice Walker and her writing. And maybe this wasn't the thing that an 8-year-old probably should have been reading at the time. But the thing that I noticed very early on is if you were reading, the adults, they kind of left you alone. And I was pretty much, as I am very much now, understanding my voice and really inquisitive, but adults can be bullies about the things that they don't know. And instead of, really kind of pouring into that inquisitiveness, they, try to push it out. And so I would read the books to try to find the answers that I couldn't get. And I just remember again, just reading Color Purple and looking at the way the vernacular, and how that changes, and how you have this prose and this talking, and this woman is speaking, and she's doing it, through a diary of sorts, but really it's just her prayers and speaking out loud to the universe and trying to change her existence. And I just, again, 8 years old, really identified with that, and understanding that, no matter sometimes the situation that you're born in, you can't change, but you can change how those circumstances hit you and how you're affected by it. So I think that was one of the earliest memories that I have, that I really was like, okay, I want to write. I want to be able to push those feelings onto somebody else. I want somebody else to understand my story, and to be, inspired to tell it, to get it out and see how popular it was. And then, and then of course I love always the the mixture of art. Like even in that book, you see and you hear about like, singing and, community and, being together and finding this place. They got to get that juke joint, together so that they got a place to go and, don't have to worry about folks coming and messing with them. And then when you learn more about like, well, why did they need these juke joints and like, why were they so far out and what was that time and, how people were just trying to claim their dignity. So I've seen so much of that, I think, within the different arts communities and looking at that variety. And so it really was looking at literary arts, so, and like writing first and books and literature. And then it, rolled into like, mythology and wanting to understand more about like, like Greek mythology and wishing that, now what I know about like, African, mythology could have been more at my hands, but you do it what you got. And then you roll into Shakespeare and then you realize the rhyming and the epitaph of those words and you get into it. And I really got in again, like we're telling stories. And I come from storytellers, like some amazing storytellers. I'm thinking of a grandma right now. And knowing that's always been a way for us to keep our legacy and drive. So just been very impassioned about language and communication and talking in this variety.
Yeah, that's what's up. So you were talking about, I was smiling because you were talking about like about the color purple and, saying that they needed the juke joints. They had to create it, right? And that goes back to the whole, the producers and the curators, and all the work that you do. Do you remember your very first time, like, speaking and sharing your work in front of people?
Yeah. What is so interesting is that my time of being a spoken word poet, not like my time is over, like my time, but back in my days, when I understood that there was a spoken word scene here, right? Beyond what you saw in like movies and something that was visceral and real, was going to Nocturnal Escape. And then also, I was very privileged at the time to, really be beholden and in a friendship with Lady G, and I got to go see her perform and, get up on stage. And I remember a friend of mine, Erica, was like, oh, you got to meet this person. We're getting ready. We're going to go and listen to poetry here. And she was like, my friend Shawana also writes poetry. And I was like, girl, shut up. Because, I was just kind of like starting, you say it to your friends here and there. You get a little hand clap there. Yeah, it was, and I didn't know that there was these spaces that you could get up in front of people and read to them. And I remember reading the poem to her, and she was just like, you going to read that. Like you're going to get up on stage. And she was really like one of the first people, I think, to validate that, get up there, do it, see how it feels to you. Maybe you want to do it again. And I did, I kind of doing it and ripping a bit of the Band-Aid and being up front, the way that you can manipulate the audience with you. I think, really remember the first time I saw a poet do something and me want to replicate that mood was, again, being at Nocturnal Escape and seeing Al Letson perform. I don't remember the poem that he did, but I remember the reception at the end, and it was kind of in a way one of his, like, I got your poems, and the crowd just erupted like, oh, I can't, oh, and it was, I always love that call and response a little bit. That's addictive, as the audience side of being a spoken word poet, because you become a little bit, it was always about writing your pain, getting your struggle out there, and then all of a sudden, right, you start remembering, oh, they clapped when I did the line like this, right. Or they got excited when I flipped it like that. So it was fun to kind of see that variation. But I clearly remember getting up on stage and doing this poem that I had wrote called Surprise. And if you got some old poet heads out there, they'll remember Surprise. The surprise is I probably don't know how to perform it no more. But I remember doing that poem and getting that reaction of people just, like, it's almost like the dude at Day Show, like, oh, like just people just breaking up in the audience, and then me really being like, okay, I want to do this. I want to do this for a
I'm
while.
gonna do some more. Yeah. That's what, Nocturnal Escape, man. That was my I
shout out to Emmanuel and Tiffany.
Yeah, shouts out to Emmanuel and Tiffany. Without Emmanuel and Tiffany, there would be no Cypher.
Right.
There would be no artist. There would be
so many of us came through
Nocturnal Escape. So shouts out to
they are definitely like when you think of the family tree of poetry of poets and stuff. And so I fell in love. I got married. I married this visual artist, and it wasn't like my world changed. But at that time, I was hanging out with poets. I was hanging out with writers, and that's a whole different groove being with those kind of artists. And I have always kind of dipped my toe into like different artist communities, and hung around that kind of particular group or circle of people. And then in marrying, and falling and dating a visual artist at the time, I started to meet all these other visual artists, and I just started to think of the ways that words and visual art really connect to one another. I won't get ahead of myself with too much saying, but that is what really started to spark, I think, my early interest in how does that go together, right? Like, there was a few times that, people have done things and, you got the spoken word person and, they're doing their poem. You got somebody in the back painting and doing all this stuff. Now, I never loved that,
No, Love Jones.
Give Love Jones his credit. But I just did not feel comfortable with the person on stage drawing be in the background for the person on stage saying, and then vice versa. When it works, it works. Like, my worst thing is I used to hate about the poetry. I don't know why I'm laughing. Is when you doing the thing and it's always the brother there with the chimpanzee, and it's somebody come out of nowhere and they doing the beat to the phone.
We got incense.
I love it. Like, get him on and let him do his thing. But like, don't come out of nowhere with my poem and not gotta catch on to your beat to do it. See, that part. But I really did love to see like the collaboration, like when it was done well. Right. Like, when you had somebody and they had the right beat, and they had the tone, and then somebody would do it, and it was great. But not like when it felt,
forced. Or,
like it felt not forced. I mean, like all vibes welcome. But that was never comfortable with me. I used to always be like, oh Lord, don't let them come up here trying to get the drums going. Well, I practiced this poem 25 times at home to get it right. Now I gotta, get old deep with somebody else. But even in those moments, you just never knew what was going to happen. I just love that scene. It was so raw, and I met so many amazing people. And then when we left, to move to Savannah, that was also another interesting poetry scene. But it still wasn't like what I experienced in Jacksonville. And by the time we came back, all the players had changed. And so I love that too. But it was like, oh, what's going on with this? And they're like, oh, that's not really popping no more. And then it was like, oh, now this is the thing. And I think that's when, I heard, but when I was like, well, who is this? And then you go in there, and then it's something about, of course, that poetry love, that when poets is beloved, they love to come at the spot. They love to be like looking at everybody and giving 25 high fives. Like, you watch like Little Fortune or, The Price is Right or something coming on down. Messing up on the stage, and then you're like, just go sit down, man.
Until you get over this point, you get into a point. Like, I've gotten to a point where it is not to say that I feel like, like I've been doing it so long that I've earned anything. I feel like I've earned a lot.
Yeah, you have.
Going in, like walking into, first of all, if I even show up, that's the thing.
Right.
The second thing is, it takes a lot. First of all, it takes a lot for me to even be around a lot of people.
Yeah.
Now
it's a lot of energy.
And then it's like you got to speak to 100 people. I'm not doing that, getting there,
right,
and leaving. I'm just gonna leave. I can't say hi to everybody.
Yeah, don't you leave nobody out.
Right, because then people getting their feelings.
You don't even get to get on stage anymore once you get to that kind
of. I just alleviate all of it. I'm not saying hey to nobody. I ain't saying bye to nobody. I'm gonna be there. And then are you gonna turn around? Well, where's love? Home.
She's already ready. She left out of here. Go.
Come to the stage, LoveReigns. Where's she at? Go.
Right. We didn't even get to see it. What happened?
So you mentioned you love your love for words. I love words.
I love words.
What's your favorite word? Do you have a favorite word?
No, I used to always watch like the Actor Studio. You know, James Lipton would always ask. I would try to imagine myself being up there talking to James Lipton. But no, because there's so many.
Yeah.
And when you think of the origins, and when you think of English, right? Just English overall, but like definitely American English. When you look at slang, you look at that vernacular, you look at, colloquialism, you look at alliteration. Like, I love the way words fit together to say something that no one said before like that. It's like, how do you get to have all these songs and nobody's repeating the same lyrics? They're doing that a little bit now, but I'm just saying, like, before it used to be like, wow, like, how is Stevie Wonder coming up with these verses, right? How is Sonia Sanchez putting, sounds and screams and visualization and visceration of emotion into that? I don't have a favorite, because it really depends on what you're trying to communicate, that the words come together and you learn something. And this is, to me, why poetry also was so great, because if somebody stirs something enough in you, you want to go. What was that?
Go home and write.
I want to go home and write.
Yes.
I want to look up something in the dictionary.
Yes.
I want to find the perfect way to put this sentence in together. It's how do you take that and then now make it this thing on this paper.
Right.
There's something that I love so much about it was in your mind, and now people can take a part of what that was and sharing it.
Yeah. I love that. I love, especially like when people put words together and I can vividly see it.
Yeah. I'm the Cheshire Cat.
I get so excited because I'm like, in my head, I can see it.
Right.
And if I see it well enough, I can then feel it.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, yo, I got chills just based off of what this person said, because not only did I like, or was I drawn to the way they put it together, I was drawn to the emotion behind it, because I can feel everything. It's like I was there.
Yeah.
When they wrote it.
Yeah, when they do it, there's this energy, and words are magic.
Yeah.
They really are, especially when you write them down, you put them on a page, and they just, it just comes off like speaking to you, like you said before, like when somebody else can convey that, and you weren't there for this thing, but now they put you in there with them.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. I love, like, you get to be again the person who gets to see that story, but them putting that story together helps you to be a better visualizer.
Yeah, for sure. That's why I love, like, with Color Purple, I love the book.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot with a lot of movies, but the book is just so much better, because you can see it. Like, you can literally see it. You really can. You can really see everything that it was actually portrayed in the film, aside from it being my all-time favorite movie ever.
What's your favorite line? What's your favorite line?
No, don't get me started.
Come on.
My mama right now is yelling at the screen because I'm telling you, don't get me started, Shawana, because I will do the whole movie.
Look. I'm there with you. I love it with you.
Sit in that jail. Sit in that jail down there by the rock. I know what it's like, want to say. Have it beat at you. I remember that day I was in the market with Miss Midland. I was feeling real bad. I told you, don't get me started.
I was gonna move you down. I'm with you. I know it was a God.
And I want to thank you for everything you've done for me. Paul, it was a print.
I was there with you. I'm just gonna say, like, see, that's great art. That's great art.
It is.
That's great art.
You can do that over and over and over again. That is, I don't care how many times. My mom said, I watched The Color Purple so much that I watched The Color off of it. I love that movie. I don't even know why I love that movie, right?
It speaks on so many different levels to a human experience where it centers a black narrative. And to think about, especially at that time, we just weren't getting that. We weren't getting that fully in television. We weren't getting that in movies, but you were getting that in our literature. You could always find that in our books and that kind of hidden narrative and language. And when you get this opportunity to put it on this bigger platform and to affect other people, that's artistry, all the way.
So Nina Simone said that. She believes that it's an artist's responsibility to reflect the times. So with that, and everything that's happening today, because this is, I know each I do know that each generation,
right,
they have their thing that they have to get over, right? The baby boomers had their thing. Like every generation has a thing or a couple of things.
Right. You get some several things.
This right, I don't know what the hell is happening. It's like the apocalypse. Alien invasion. Honestly, if an alien invasion happened at this point, it's
time to pay attention.
I mean, right?
Or who even? I mean, this was aliens.
It's aliens. I kind of saw that coming.
Right.
Makes sense.
Let's give somebody else a chance to rule over us, because obviously we don't know.
We don't know what the hell. We don't know what's going on. I really feel like at this point, if something like that were to happen, it would just be like, that explains it.
Yeah.
That explains it.
There we go.
That explains a lot.
I'm for it. If they could get here, like think about the galaxy. Don't get me started with the science, but when you think about the galaxy and all these different planets and what we don't know about what we don't know, if them peoples can get in whatever convenient spaceship they got and get here, that's the last thing we got to worry about. Because if they got here, we don't got nothing to stop them from doing whatever they want to do.
We got bigger problems.
Yeah, like that. You don't got that kind of weaponry. I always love they try to show the movie and we we Americans and we got them, and I'm like, that's not how it's gonna happen. That's not how it's gonna happen, guys. I just need y'all to know we conquered.
I saw a meme that said something about an alien invasion, and somebody was like, now's not a good time.
Give us 3 more years. 3 more years.
That's not a good time. This is not one of those things like,
you don't want us anyway.
You don't want us anyway, because clearly we don't know what the hell. We really don't. You know what I'm saying? So with the narrative, right? That the narrative that I'm noticing, especially from last year to this, is that change. We are talking about change more now than ever because we have to. If we don't change, we literally have no choice. There's no other option. We have to change.
Right.
We have to change individually. We have to change collectively. We have to change as a society. We have to change, right? Yeah. So how, in reflecting on that quote from Nina, how important is it with the work that you do for us to do that?
Well, again, Nina's, words are definitely bond. That's one of my favorite lines to reflect on consistently because of what you just said, right? Change. There's some change that really is inevitable, and we're consistently evolving even when we don't see the evolution of that, right? Even within our own stories, if you let enough experiences happen to you. And like you also said, we're doing it more than ever because it's a necessity. But also, at this point, what do we got to lose? I think about in the way that supremacy really does seep into every seduction of, enterprise and being, proprietary about whatever. We live in a capitalist society. Literally, this GameStop thing should be an eye-opener to people on just how much we are consistently manipulated, right? So I try to think of art as this variance that can help for sustainable change, because it's not enough to just be vocal about it. It's to put those things into practice, into process. So how do we help to enliven people's consciousness? Right. And art, to me, again, really just goes there. And when you have artists who, even within their own fears, can push out fearlessness, it makes you have to pay attention, and hopefully it makes you try to figure out what can you do to to provide some solace as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think, change is we have to be not afraid, because at this point there's nothing that we have to lose.
Right.
They've taken so much, but we consistently keep being resilient. I remember somebody one time told me, like, "You're one of the most resilient people I know," and I thought, like, I don't know if I want to be that. Like, I don't want to be resilient. Yeah. It's just the circumstances that keep happening cause me to have to be reactive in that way. So, I applaud artists when they can use their own emotionality and be so vulnerable with us and push us over the edge to fight for what's right. And art has been doing that since, the first person went. I'm not gonna say cave people, because we don't know. Right. But whoever decided, like, I'm gonna do this thing. I'm gonna make this plate. I'm gonna help you with this spoon. I'm gonna mend this leg. I'm gonna tell you this story. I'm gonna talk to you and give you an idea. And how do we keep building on that and really become players of our own success? I think what we have to stop doing is waiting for someone else to give us an opportunity, because they probably are not interested. You have to stop acting like, all the hate is coming for you and you can't share anything with anybody. Like, I don't tell nobody what I do. I move in silence. I'm like, I don't know how to do that personally. I don't know how to move in silence, because I want to hear other people's ideas. Like, my one little piece of it, if I tell you, if I tell Pete, right, then we come back and now we have this thing. Like, why wouldn't I want us to be collaborators? And so I think if we really can understand about what we want to do collectively, and it's cool if so-and-so is doing it so great over here and so-and-so is doing it so great over there. Are there times that we can get together and uncheck one another, right? Like, really make it about, what do you want to see change? What do you want to see active? And let's do it. Yeah,
and that's essentially what happened with the GameStop thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I all the time.
Collaboration, and not only that, like, recognizing your power. Yeah. Your collective power, and look at what happened. Right now, it's like, oh crap.
That's what
the people have too much power.
Yeah,
But one of the things that I love, that, like, especially with the Color Jacks Blue that you just completed, my God, I think that when we talk about building on the history of art and the evolution of art and the importance of it, with technology and the way things are, everything's so digital. It's also still important for those things, for us to still physically see things, for us to physically touch things.
Yeah.
Like, those things are important. And for us to be able to go and see buildings wrapped in historical figures, in activists, in people who are making a difference. So what was the idea behind Color Jacks Blue?
That was something that one of those seeds that I felt was planted years and years ago, as I was, looking a little bit at the changing landscape, at other people coming in, doing bigger public projects, and what does that look like? Who is that speaking to? Who gets to define those narratives? And more understanding that, again, you gain that opportunity sometimes just by asking. But it really came into fruition at the beginning of the pandemic. My husband and I had decided that, again, like you just said before, we still wanted some connectivity. We wanted to understand what could we do safely, but how could we still make art a big part of how we were going to get through this time, because that's what art is always for us. It's a way to kind of, heal, but it's also a way to expel trauma. And as I think I felt very early on that this wasn't going anywhere, at least for like a year. I was like, I didn't know how much things were going to close down, but my reflective and safe space for the past few years has been galleries and in institutions, and not being able to physically, touch down in those spaces. I thought, how could we create something like that just in our backyard? Also, it was, selfish to say that we wanted our neighbors to understand what do we do for a living, and to also kind of understand a little bit more about art, because they don't go to these institutions that we've gone to. I could tell them, like, Roosevelt's work was in this place or exhibited here, and they just kind of smile and nod.
That's nice.
That's so nice. That's so good for him. That's great.
Oh,
But you know, they don't have any visualization of what that looks like or how does a visual artist process. Yeah. And so I thought, like, you know, with all the things going on, we have a very walkable neighborhood, some great neighbors at the time. Let's just put this work out and let's see how they respond. And, you know, they would want to come over. You know, they want, well, what's this? What y'all doing over here? Or, you know, what's this about? You know, black folks nosy. I think I can say that in the nicest way. You know, they want to know. So, and we knew they would want to know. And so at first it was just to have a conversation with our, you know, just, you know, immediate neighbors. And then as we kind of just wanted to share that a little bit more, you said like the technology, right, just really is this other kind of equitizer to show an idea and thinking about, you know, children and other things that were going on. And so often because of the work that my husband does around, you know, racial inequities, around historical references and instilling like, you know, legacy and telling hard truths in his work, I thought it would be a great vehicle that, you know, people just wanted to come and talk, because at this time we were going through one of the largest civil rights demonstrations. We were hearing more and more people being enraged by, you know, another murder and killing of another black person. And I've always been the person to get, you know, really upset, of course, about things that happen nationally, but I always try to look for like what happened locally. And I started to think that I knew 2020 was going to be a remarkable year. We were getting ready to have a national election that was going to happen, you know, in some months. And it really was about talking about local politics and community and civic engagement again. I just think art has this phenomenal way of putting civics and creating civic-minded people when they can get that relationship going and understand why, right? So all of these things are bubbling up in my mind. Also the fact that I just need to entertain my toddler. And, you know, and I wanted to put artists to work if I could. So I just really was gracious enough to get the opportunity to get some great funders involved. You know, it's, again, I knew we could do this thing if I could get enough resources, but I also was very much
my mama. I'm sorry.
It's
somebody tell my mama I'm doing the show, because she's not gonna stop calling.
No, she didn't check on you.
Somebody,
look, it's after 9.
MJ, can you call my mama and tell her that I'm doing a show? She don't care. She does not care,
and she shouldn't, because you know
right.
That's not her priority. You are, not this show. You better understand where your mama coming from. Call her. It's necessary. Call her. I'm saying, you know.
God,
hey,
look, listen, mama. Oh my God,
it's all right. You get your mom together.
Listen, I'm sorry, y'all. I know this is.
I'm gonna wrap up this story while you.
Mama, I'm doing a live. I'll call you back. Okay. I'll call you back. She don't get it.
No.
She don't care.
It's not about this woman.
You could have told.
She like, text me. Okay, you doing a live? Put a text.
I'm sorry.
Makes sense to me. Makes sense to me.
I'm sorry.
You got that phone? You're doing this live, aren't you? Text. So, you know.
Have mercy.
That idea really, again, was just this kind of overwhelming want to see the Black artists in our community get a chance to do a larger public project, where I didn't feel they were getting the opportunities within a lot of the governmental ways that artists can be included within community and doing public art. So here was this idea, now these resources and funds to say, okay, you know, can we put something on this building? And in the beginning, we really just we were going to just do like this front of the building. But then when I met the building owner, who was so excited that we were going to be doing something, he was like, oh yeah, you can get like, you know, like, well, how much, you know, you want this side, you want this side? And I was like, excuse me? Yeah. You know, like, no, we thought we only had enough funding for this front. So that kind of like changed the game, and in the best way. And I thought, okay, here we're talking about gun violence, right? That's on everybody's mind. That's a big issue, and we know how horrible Jacksonville is within that. Whether it's, you know, someone said, are they police? Dang it, I can't remember what he said. But it was a great way to describe the killings that happen, you know, within law enforcement. Government-sanctioned lynchings or something like this. Government-sanctioned lynchings. And I think this artist said, and I thought like, wow, right? And then thinking about civics and knowing the community that I live in, like talking to just my neighbors, right? Are you going to go vote? And they were like, no, they're not, they're not going to vote because they're not interested in voting. Right. And you're just hearing this from these like older groups of men and like what that meant, right? And so I was flabbergasted, but I understood where they were coming from. Right. So I just wanted them to feel the pride of what civics can do and what voting does really. Like these things you complain about, it's because of your elected officials. All these things that are going in, proposals, developments, why does your city get, your street get zoned for 25 liquor stores, and in this other neighborhood, it's got glossy trees and, beautiful shade, and, you over here burning up. Because even showing that a lot of different neighborhoods and communities, like this economic violence, and so it was like, okay, here's civics, here's voting, here's these incredible people who are fighting for us every day, whether you know it or not, doing this kind of ground and grassroots organizing and putting themselves and their lives on the line. Like being an activist around, racial justice is life or death work. Really these people are. People realize that. Oh no, they don't. It's just. I think. Let me watch this old Black Panther movie. You see Fred Hammond get shot. You're like, I don't want that. Right. And so knowing that these people are putting their lives on the line, we got to give them their flowers now. I always say, don't give me the Shawana Brooks part after I'm dead and gone. I didn't get to go sit at the bench. No, thank you. I want to see the trees y'all planted. Come on. I want to sit around. I want to see the duckies. Come on. Give me the pigeons. I'll give them. Feed the birds. Pop us a bag. Right. But I just wanted these people to know that on their darkest day, when they've gotten hate mail, when they've not felt like the policy that they wanted to get overturned didn't do it, when they got to write another email, when they got to go out here with 25 more signs to make and shirts to produce. Yeah. They can drive past this mural. They can see themselves reflected and remember that this community's got you. Yeah, that's awesome. That's so, man. It's necessary, right? It's a lot, right? It's a lot, and it's so necessary. You know what I mean? But I know that it's something that's going to last forever. You know what I mean? And it's something that this community needs, because we know there's no point in us sugarcoating. We know Jacksonville ain't the easiest place for Black folks to be. No. We know that. Springfield, I just saw a sign today on somebody's car in Springfield that said Black owners in Springfield get harassed by their neighbors. Oh, yeah. It's real, right? There's no point in us sugarcoating. It's on that Facebook page. This is what it is, right? So because I know you got pushback. What was it that said to you, like, no, I'm not gonna let you intimidate me, because this is something that I'm passionate about. This is something that needs to happen. What was that like to continue to push through? To push back, right? Yeah. I think that's kind of more of how I came into curating. That certainly wasn't an occupational role or title that I felt comfortable saying very early on in the beginning. Even, trying to think of these shows and trying to find venues and opportunities to put them together. It really became after a major exhibition that was happening at the time at the Cummer Museum. And seeing that my husband was invited, even at the time he kind of wasn't, but he was invited to go into this room to talk about what this was going to be, right? And this was a time that me and him were really like becoming what we call partners, right? These art partners, and it's like where he goes, I go. Like, I like that. I love I'm an art nurse. I'm gonna say I know you have, because I say art nurse all the time. I have lots of art. You're my art nurse. We have lots of art nurse. Yes, art nurse. We're art nurse. So there we go. On t-shirt. Artness. So I felt a bit intimidated to not go in this room with him, and honestly, in the way they were not kind of allowing that, right? And I was like, oh, like we go everywhere. Like, what do you mean? Like, with Shawana and Roosevelt, right? And they were like, no, you can't come in here just for him. Like, let him go on in. And I was like, oh, I just gotta sit outside, like watch this. And I remember getting like furious for a moment, like, like I should just go on in that room. And I was like, no, I don't want to mess with this opportunity, but I should just walk on in there and sit down there. No, he just needs to, be all right. It's just like this back and forth. And I was like, you know what? They just don't know you. You need to be known, and this won't happen to you again. And that became like a major pushback to be like, okay, as I go into these very white spaces, into these very white institutions, regardless of how diverse they want to be able to put on or invite all these other artists, it's always at a time that feels comfortable for them, right? It's like, give us all the black performances because February 1st is here, and then it's like March 1st, like, like hold your roll. Right. We'll see you, next year, February. We'll see you next February. Come back then. So I was like, well, what do we do with Black 365? Where do we go? Where can we talk? Where can this be? And I just didn't want to hear any more no's as to why you couldn't center Black identity first, why you couldn't center, Black artistry in this way, why that couldn't be a focus, when pretty much every other exhibition that you see is white male-centered focus, just because that's the notion of what's okay. And I just did not want to hear any more about what couldn't happen. And I was like, if we can do this, if we can write this, if we can get somebody to accept this, we can put this on. And I think it just kind of rolled from there, just seeing that it's not that you won't get the no's. It's just that you don't hear them, right? That person says no, keep going until you get like a yes. That's what you do. You don't listen to the one no. You can hear 1,000 no's. It only takes one yes. It only takes one yes. And so, I always say go where you're celebrated then. Find the folks who want to celebrate what you're doing and stop looking to keep getting people on board who have no interest in what you're trying to produce.
Right. That's what's up. So, I feel like we gonna need a part 2. We for sure. But I know you got to get home to the baby. Shouts out to Roosevelt.
Yeah, the third, the fourth.
The third and the fourth?
Yeah, the third and the fourth.
Shouts out. So what's coming up? What can people look forward to from the Shawana Brooks?
Oh man, still working on one of my current projects that really infuses the literary arts and visualization. And you had one of my colleagues and co-collaborators, Hope McMath, I know on your show before. So still working on my project around Black motherhood. That's magic, mirth, and mortality. It really talks about my experience with, being pregnant, and also still my unidealism and with motherhood, and also I think just sometimes the specialness of Black girl magic, but also the predatory sense of what it can be, and making space for us to talk about all the things that happen within motherhood and caregivingness. It's not just about the people who birth the children or take care of children. It's us looking at our motherhoods and thinking of mommy problems. When I talk about daddy issues, we got mommy issues too. Thinking of what it means for us as Black women, raising other Black women, and really seeing ourselves and understanding the health inequities that can happen to Black women, regardless of where their class is. Racism, and anti-Blackness is consistently the issue. So constantly working on that project, trying to, right now, working with places for it to go, hopefully New Orleans, might be going to Atlanta, it's going to Wisconsin, and even next door in St. Johns County, it's going to St. Augustine. So excited to see that traveling around and working with other artists in different communities. And then, of course, our business, 6 Feet Away, is so excited. We're picking up clients. We're currently now working with the Jesse Ball DuPont Center to create some social justice programming, some art intersections, and hopefully even a new art installation kind of performance space. So again, thinking of how we can, turn this beautiful building that they've revamped and all these nonprofits that they have in it, and talking about these issues and how artists can play a part in getting that messaging out. So excited to do that work. And also just working on one of our bigger overall projects, which is, our role within tactical urbanism. How do we get into neighborhoods and communities and do like these kind of, artful projects that could be, I don't like to say pop-ups because to me that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
I can't pop it up just to pop it down.
Right.
But, some, temporary exhibitions, things that could live in parks and also working with Jacksonville Cultural Development Corporation and hopefully working soon with the Melanin Arts Market. Because I think, I keep telling the people I don't want to say it, but I'm like, I want to call it ma'am. Like, we got Ram, we can call it ma'am, right? And, why can't we celebrate, Black business and other, minority-owned businesses and really producing something that happens, almost every other week or every week, and knowing that I can go and get my shea butter, I can go and get, my, glasses, I can go and get my earrings, I can go get me a sweet outfit, whatever I want, I should be able to, get that produce and all that, and knowing that places on the east side and all that need that kind of lived experience too. So there's a lot of different ways we're trying to interwork and work with more institutions and foundations who have the resources, because it's not for the lack of the work that can go around, it's the funding that we need in order to execute these ideas, and we need real reparative funding to do that work. So we're excited.
Yeah, that's awesome. So how can people follow you, get in contact with you if they want to work with you and all that good stuff?
Oh gosh, send me an email first, because I'm telling you, don't send no DMs, don't send no text, because it might not get right back to you. But you put it in the email, and I promise I'm gonna respond to you. You can always go on our website too, which is www.6feetawaygallery.com. That kind of puts a little bit of the buzz of what's going on. We got the Instagram, we got the Facebook, but I'm not gonna lie, I don't have a social media producer right now, so it's as updated as it is. Whenever I can put that post to it, I can put that post to it. But I just am thrilled to talk to more cultural producers. Let's get this working together. Let's do it. We have I think. Black arts and culture are really the predominant source of creative revenue here in Jacksonville. We got to believe in ourselves, and let's work together. Let's produce that festival. Let's do that. Let's make other people from different places and come, because if Jacksonville isn't going to participate in that, that's fine. They'll come around eventually. But I think we have to stop being sometimes focused, even when we are locally. Don't just think it's for the locality. Let's put it on for everybody. So look me up, Google me.
Google me, baby.
Google me. I don't know what you might find, but type it up, SHAWANABROOKS, and there'll be a way to no, don't do it right now. And just hit me up if you want to get this work, you want to do these things, you got an idea. I love to hear it. Let's try to make it together. I know I learn as I fail, and I'll continue to do that, right? But I'm never scared to try again, and also take constructive criticism of what we can do to be better. We're better together.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Well, so I don't believe in coincidence at all. You mentioned giving people their flowers. Dog it, MJ. You didn't remind me. You could tell her, hey, get some flowers. Because I love MJ. I didn't get no flowers last time. She was supposed to remind me. MJ is like Jimmy the Cricket.
But she's like, doing a thousand different things.
I know, but she that person on my shoulder.
She
my little tap on the shoulder and be like, hey, sis.
I'm thinking about the bluebird on your shoulder. That's what she is. That's what MJ is. It's Mr. Bluebird.
She's supposed to tell me to do stuff when I do message. She's that person. You know how you had that person?
Yeah.
They always tell you when you're doing wrong. Sister. Come here, baby. Let me.
What I'm gonna say is, I'm not gonna let her do this to you, MJ. That's what I'm not gonna let happen. No, ma'am, Miss Baker.
But no, listen. I was gonna say.
October 13th.
Oh, you found some good stuff? No! I'm about to scream on this.
Wait, what happened?
No, Shanti has the same birthday as me. Just throw the whole birthday away.
Shanti, dang. Throw the whole birthday away.
I ain't even know she was a Libra. Like, I love Libras. Like, I love other Libras. Like, so much.
Nobody else that Paul George. That's basketball.
Oh, I don't know.
Paul George?
I don't know.
I'm like, yeah, I know Paul George.
Did she? I purposely did not even want to know about it.
I think people forgot about it.
I mean, after they rescheduled it like 5 times. I mean, I ain't seen the verses since, I don't know, July, but
They actually had the most streams ever.
Of course, because people love to villainize black women.
That's true.
They need a, I don't like it when they keep pitting them up. The best verses I saw between black women was Jill Scott and Erykah Badu. Love fest. It was putting together. We felt the love. I don't want to feel uncomfortable watching y'all go back and forth and belittle each other slightly on the thing. That's why I don't watch,
They uncomfortable. They really did.
That's why I don't watch, none of them Real Housewives. I don't need to see that. I can belittle black women.
The housewife shit.
It is.
It's all for the viewers. It's for the advertising power. Look, no shade to the folks who need the distraction. Get it in there. But if when you're ready, just come on out of it. Turn off that Ashanti.
The best part of Jill and Erykah was when Jill was like, there's a lot of good parts, but when Jill was like, "You look beautiful."
Oh yeah, and Erykah was like, "I feel beautiful." Yeah.
I do too.
That's right. That's what I want to see. They always looking beautiful every time. I'm like, good geez. But honestly, I'm not gonna keep speaking about that lady because she making money where I'm not. So
listen,
good for you.
It's just pending.
Yes. Checks in the mail. Checks in the mail. And then when I get it, she gonna be like, Shawana need to get out of here too. I don't want to say Michelle's birthday.
She gonna call you personally. I need Shawana Brooks.
I hope she does not.
No, but she gonna put you on. I got you.
Is she really? What is she doing that she gonna put me on? Cut the live. Just cut the live. It's no offense to Ashanti. I was like, I'm always surprised when she had no big follower. I'll be like, really?
I love
Don't ask me. I don't know no current.
One thing you can never doubt is a black woman's confidence, boy. She earned it though. That's what I do.
There's no shade. There's no shade. I celebrate everything that she's doing.
It's different
I just personally am not interested.
It's just different lanes.
I want her to do it.
Name one Ashanti song.
One that's hers? I know. All you see is this. You just got a sound.
No, we don't listen. Shout out to Ashanti. I'm gonna give you
that's in my head. All night. With her 1-2 moves. I'm not gonna share that.
Shout out to Ashanti and
shout.
Listen, y'all did y'all thing. I love uplifting black women.
Yeah.
Y'all listen, black women.
Yeah.
Y'all doing the damn thing, man. Keep doing it. Y'all doing the damn thing.
In this community, I love to care. Y'all just taking care of one another. Keep it
y'all
going.
Y'all doing the damn thing.
Just don't play the Ashanti at your party.
She's talking about in the show. That's why I
know.
I wanted to tell you, I want to give you your flowers. You know what I mean? I suck for not having real flowers.
No.
I want to give you your flowers, and I want to tell you, I thank you. Just thank you for everything that you do. Thank you for being an advocate, because we do need those people. We need people who are out there on the front lines, saying, no.
Right.
My people need to get paid, and we need to diversify the opportunities and all those things. So using your voice and not only being a creator, but also creating and curating spaces for people like me and Pete and MJ and everybody else that you
I love all you guys.
I love all you guys. We appreciate you. So we love you, and I want to give you your flowers and just say thank you.
I appreciate that. I guess my only little plug, and I really don't even like doing this, right? It's I'm up for an NAACP Jackson. Something innovator or whatever. You get a chance, go to Channel 4's website and you can vote for me or some other awesome folks, or maybe not me. I might not be your favorite. And I'm fine with that.
You better vote.
I want y'all to vote. I want y'all to vote when every election comes up, whether it's a national, a local, or mid-election. We got to put our voices out there. Vote.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you.
This
has been fun.
Well, I'm glad.
This has been fun. So I appreciate appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in to the Random Thoughts of Rain podcast. Make sure you go and subscribe to the podcast Random Thoughts of Rain. Google it. Look up LoveReigns. Make sure you download my latest single, Land of the Free, huh? You know what I mean? It's it's a bop. It's a bop. So shouts out to Devin Way and I Give for doing that with me. So I appreciate y'all, man. We appreciate y'all. Make sure you follow MPN and support all of the podcasters and podcast hosts on the MPN network. Make sure you follow Miss MJ Baker and all that good stuff. She's looking for No, is it songwriters? No, vice versa. Y'all hit up MJ. She looking for somebody to help her. She looking for.
That's not. No. That's just.
I was trying to help. It's the helping. I wasn't being helpful. Damn it. I love y'all. Peace. Good night.
Girl.